What is up, everyone? It is season 4. This is the season premiere, season 4, episode 1. I'm not quite sure how you put up with us for so long, but it's season 4 and it's 4 of us. Not sure where the fifth guy is. Actually, I do. He's taking care of grown up responsibilities. But happy New Year, Eric. What's up, man? It's been a long time since I've seen you, sir.
Oh, not too much, man. You're looking pretty good,
I
Princeton.
appreciate it. Really, you're gonna start off just like that, huh? You know
Oh
what? Where's
no,
that
no,
mute
no,
button?
no. I said you're looking pretty good. Pause. Princeton.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Um,
We're gonna move on. We're gonna go to the adult in the room. Princeton, how are you, sir?
thank you. I'm doing great. Happy New Year. I feel like it's been forever since I've seen you. So,
Wait, me or the rest of them? Because I just passed you in the hall.
it was a joke towards you, but yeah,
Okay.
I've definitely seen you. But I like the shirt, and myself also.
I almost grabbed them. Turn around. Let's see the back.
Also rapping on.
There we go. Too much grit to quit. That's right. Yeah. I'm a lion. That's what I'm talking about.
There you go. So
right.
as long as they're winners, they have my support.
Wow, bandwagon. It's all right.
God.
Soleil, day one, Lion fan. How you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing great. Happy New Year, everybody, all the viewers watching live from my new house. Yay, first show.
Okay.
Eventually, this whole room will be pink because I have to have a pink room wherever I live. I just haven't got to it yet, but this is the.
I was gonna say that it looks a little weird not being pink, but it's okay. I'm sure it's coming. You just verify that.
I didn't know where the room started and the shirt ended. blended into each other.
It's a dress. It's like a sweater dress.
If you ever need to get the same paint for your room, just bring that dress in. Just show them that.
Wow, shade.
I mean, if we're being real, we're talking about shade. Her complexion isn't too far off either. So there's that.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true.
All you gotta do is close your eyes and close your mouth and just stand against the wall.
Yeah.
But it's a great color. It's a great color, though.
And I'm not
no
far off
shade.
in the same complexion. So there's that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're here today. Chris, thanks for welcoming us back, sir. We missed you and look forward to you coming on the show one day. But we are here to talk about the road to the Super Bowl. And I just put a post on Facebook before we came on that the road to, listen to these words very carefully. The road to the Super Bowl goes through Kansas City and Detroit. It goes through Detroit, y'all. How does that make y'all feel? So let's start with you.
Me? It feels amazing. Like this season has been awesome. I think I've converted like 1 million fans to Detroit fans. Like every week on my Instagram after a win, which was 15 of them, I would post a video on my Instagram stories, and like everybody is just following it and they're hype. Like the touchdown celebrations, the trick plays, everything has gotten people to buy in. I even got one of my new friends. I met her in September, and I told her last February, after the Super Bowl, I got the Lions to win the Super Bowl at 1,200 to 1, which means you bet $100, you win 1,200. Bet $1,000, you win 12,000. Okay, so I told her I did that back in February, and in September when I told her that, I think they were 800 to 1, and she immediately went to the casino, went to the sports book, and put $100, 800 to 1. So if we win, she's going to get $800. So, I'm converting people, or the Lions are converting people to be fans. So it's just an amazing feeling.
The thing that I hate about this is we have those secret haters that are rooting for the Lions, but it's a lot of people that are quiet. I feel like they're just waiting. And I heard from them 2 times this year. Guess when I heard from them? The 2 times we lost.
Yeah.
Look at your team now. You know, man, I hate those people. But Eric, how you feel about the Lions?
Oh, I feel pretty good. Similar to what Soleil did at the beginning of the season. My prediction was for Detroit to go to the Super Bowl. So I got 2 bets in. One for them to be the NFC champions, which it was like 500 to 1. So I feel pretty confident there. And then for Buffalo and Detroit to go to the Super Bowl and win, that's going to be a little bit more of a payout. It's not quite that 12 to 1 payout that Soleil said. I think it was like 950 to 1. But I'm very happy to see that the Lions got the number 1 seed. Despite all of the injuries and all of the naysayers, you know what? These 2024, 2025 Detroit Lions, man, they're awesome. I can't wait to see them win the championship. I got a question. If Detroit does happen to win the Super Bowl, are you coming up? Are either one of you coming up for the parade?
I'm gonna try.
Oh yeah, I would definitely try to do that.
I'll try.
Yeah, what I thought you was gonna ask, and Soleil, I gotta ask you this. Eric, I'm gonna ask you as well. Where do you watch the Super Bowl if Detroit goes to the Super Bowl? Do you try to go to New Orleans? Do you try to go back to Detroit? Do you watch it from your hometown? Which obviously for Eric, that you are in Detroit. Where do you go? Eric?
It's likely that I'm going to be working that day, but the job already has like a plan. We've got like 3 huge lunch rooms. So what they're going to do is that they're going to rent, they say they're going to rent 84-inch TVs, and they're going to put them in the lunchroom, and they're going to have snacks. And man, it's going to be a hell of a night.
It ain't no way. I don't care what happens. There ain't no way I'm working Super Bowl Sunday if the Lions go to the Super Bowl. We're not talking about the 49ers. We're not talking about Dallas. We're not talking about teams that have been there before. We're talking about the Detroit Lions who've never been to the Super Bowl. You got to pay your bills, though. I get it. But there's no way I can do that.
Well, I don't start work until like later that night. So I'll still be able to, quote, watch the Super Bowl. I immediately would have to go back to work. But, I mean, if it was like a normal situation, I'm pretty sure there would be no shortage of parties. No shortage of parties. And to be honest with you, you know, every time a great sporting event happens and you go to like a mixed bar, it's like all of our non-African American friends just love to just throw drinks at everybody for free.
Slay, where would you watch the game?
I'm torn. So there's a Lions bar here.
Really?
So lots of Lions fans. Almost every NFL team has a bar here. Not that they own it or anything, but like fans have designated. Yeah, like
fan bar. Oh, okay.
Yeah, fans are like, this is the Lions bar, this is the Raiders bar, yada yada. So I'm 2-0, or the Lions are 2-0 when I actually go to the bar. I have not watched the game here in my new home. So I am superstitious. I don't know that I will watch it here. And I do have a friend who always throws the best Super Bowl party every year. So that's an option. But coming out to Detroit, if y'all come out there, you know, maybe we do it from there and celebrate in the city.
I can't imagine what they'd be like if they said they were going to show it on the big screen at Ford Field in a New York minute. I would be there. No doubt about it.
I would that's what the plan is.
I gotta go grab some milk, you know, and go grab some. No, I wouldn't say milk. I'd be going way too long. I'm joking. But all right, Prince, what you got?
Okay, well, first of all, I want to comment on how you feel about the Lions comment, and I'll get into it deeper later, I'm sure. But it's funny that you said that the playoffs runs through the Chiefs and the Lions, because I feel like it's 2 teams that have plausible concerns actually going into the playoffs, for the obvious one with the Lions being all the injuries, even though they continue to overcome. They do continue to overcome, but a part of you has to feel like, when are they going to hit that wall? It has to be in the back of your mind. No one wants to say it, but it's true. and then the obvious one for the Chiefs being their margin of victory, always being so low in the regular season. Everyone's gonna scream and say it's the regular season and the Chiefs are a playoff team, but it can be a little concerning if you can't score more or win by more than a touchdown in 12 of the games of their victory. So I'll go in deeper a little bit later, but it's just crazy that you mentioned those two teams, and I feel like they're actually two teams with two very big potential flaws. So it'll be interesting for sure. But my
Every
question
team has a flaw.
That's true. Every team definitely has a flaw, but those are just two that stand out to me. But I just wanted to ask you guys, since this is the road to the Super Bowl, wanted to start off with I've been seeing a lot of talk about the wild card round and reshaping the format just because of the seventh seed always getting blown out. How do you guys feel about the top two seeds getting a bye instead, and not even including that seventh seed? Just because I saw a fact, I believe only 2 of the times that team has won. I believe that's correct. And on top of, and I have a follow-up question after that, but I'll start with that. How about you, James?
Well, just real quick, the only reason why I said one thing before I move on, answer your question. The only reason why I said the Super Bowl goes through Detroit and Kansas City is because they're number 1 seeds. That's the only reason I said those two.
I know.
But to answer your question, we've been there, done that. We've had 6 teams in the playoffs for years, right? It's only been 7 for like the last 2, maybe 3 years. So I like the 7 teams. I like rewarding number 1. Can number 7 beat number 2? Of course they can. Why? Because the NFL. Any given Sunday, great movie. So I'm cool with it being 7 teams and letting the number 1 team get the first round bye.
That's fair, Soleil. You seem like you're in agreement.
Yeah, I agree. Like James said, we had that format for a long time, and this new format gives the number 1 seed a true advantage, which they deserve. So, I don't think they need to change it. They don't need to go backwards. They don't need to cut number 7. Like, eventually, number 7 will win the Super Bowl. So what are we going to say then? So, it's all good.
They don't need to go to 8 and everyone play in the first round. No, keep it at 7. I like it.
Eric, you feel the same?
For the most part, just one little adjustment that I would make is a reseed after the wild card round. So let's just say the Minnesota situation, what was there, 14 wins?
Mm-hmm.
That, okay, you didn't win the division, so you do have to play on the road. But if you somehow beat whoever your opponent is and your next opponent, you have a better record than them, then I think they should reseed.
Interesting.
So you're saying Minnesota was number 5? Yeah, they were number 5.
Right, they were number 5.
So
right.
if they won, if they beat the Rams, and the Commanders is number 6, then they still is higher than them. So it wouldn't even matter in this case because the games would still be the same. Minnesota would still go to Philly, and Commanders would still go to Detroit. So it really wouldn't matter in this case.
Okay, well, let's just use a hypothetical and say that Minnesota did win. They would play Philadelphia, right?
Yep.
Okay, Minnesota had a better record than Philly, even though I know Philly won their division. But is that correct?
So I guess the hypothetical, Eric, would be more in line with if Philly would have lost. If Philly would have lost to number 7, which I forgot who they played. Who did Philly play?
I have Rams. Everett Packers.
So if the Packers would have won, what you're saying is the Packers, they was number 7, so Minnesota would still have a higher seed than them.
But let's just say the hypothetical. Let's just say we'll just throw Tampa Bay out there. Let's just say Tampa Bay beats Green Bay. They won their division, but Minnesota had a better record than them. Do you think that it would be good as far as for competitive balance if Minnesota
becomes a new number 2?
Yeah.
Don't know if it moves the needle.
I see it. It sucks that a 14-win team is the number 5 seed and they go on the road, but it's kind of been that way too. I don't see any reason to change it. Win your division.
Yeah.
I mean, look, and last thing I'll say too, excuse my language. Look at Minnesota; they kind of shit the bed, even at 14 wins. So they didn't prove that they should have been just because the record said so. Yeah, I say no.
So here's my follow-up question to all you guys. With that is, it's the age-old question of I forgot the exact saying, but pretty much the rust over rest. That is what it is. So it's the age-old question. So how do you guys feel about that? Do you feel the bye is truly beneficial? I know, and it's going to be different in the case of the NFL than it was for college football. But in college football, every team that had a bye, they lost. Now their bye was like a month-long bye instead of an actual bye week. But a lot of people were saying for college football, it was detrimental. So now, are we going to see that same kind of rust be on these NFL teams? I know college versus NFL is a little bit different, and a month versus a week is a little bit different. But how do you feel about that? I'll start with you, Jim.
I'll answer that question next Wednesday. No, seriously. Honestly, I for a team like Detroit, at which I follow closer than any other team, I think it's going to be very beneficial. All the injuries that they have, give an extra week for guys to heal, and their bye week was week 5. So it's been they've been playing football for the last 3 months without any sort of break. And a few short weeks in there, play on Sunday, play again on Thursday. I think it's going to be very beneficial for them. I don't think you're going to see any rust issues for them personally.
So,
Agreed. Yeah, they needed the time off, so I think they'll be fine. I think Kansas City's going to win this weekend, but if they do lose, it may be because Pat Mahomes hasn't played in 3 weeks. So him having a bye, him having this extra time off may make him rusty, but I think Kansas City is the better team anyway, so I don't think that's going to happen. But if it does, then you could point to that for in that situation, having 3 weeks off versus just having a week off.
it's true. Eric, you feel the same?
Well, what you mentioned, Patrick Mahomes, and I can understand that, but Mahomes was also suffering from some injuries too. So I think that Patrick Mahomes is probably one of the more well-prepared players in the league. Andy Reid and that coaching staff. I think that it benefits them as opposed to hurt them, especially when you got professionals like Mahomes. Yeah, he's gonna be ready. Unfortunately, he's gonna be ready.
Unfortunately, don't wish anything bad on that man.
No, absolutely not. And I hear that that his third child was it like last week or this week? They welcomed a new baby into the world. So you know what? Congratulations to the Mahomes family.
Was it another girl?
I don't know because their names are so weird. Well, I'm not gonna say weird because you got the right to name.
You already said it.
You want, but
Yep,
I think it's like what bronze, platinum, silver, something like that. He's golden.
Golden is the new one. Yeah, bronze is another one. I don't know what the third one is.
Okay.
Feel bad for bronze when gold is walking around.
Right. All right. You're third place, buddy. So here's my question. Which game, I'm not going to go around the horn because for the sake of time. Eric, I'll just come to you on this one. Which game are you outside of Detroit? Which game are you most looking forward to this week?
Oh, man, that's easy.
Got to be Buffalo and Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
Got to be. Yeah, that's definitely the game of the week. Probably why it's the last game of the weekend, but that's definitely going to be a good one. So our Buffalo brethren is not here, so don't worry, he won't watch it back. Who do you got in that game, Eric?
I got to stick with Buffalo, man. That was my Super Bowl prediction: Buffalo against Detroit.
Soleil, I don't know if you got Soleil's sexy picks this week, but let's say you don't for the sake of now. Who do you got, Buffalo or Baltimore?
I'm going Baltimore. The last month of the season, Baltimore has been a juggernaut. They've been amazing. I don't know how they're going to do it, like if it's stopping Josh Allen or just flat out outscoring Buffalo, like scoring 50 points themselves. So I don't know how it's going to get done, but I think Baltimore is scary. Lamar is scary. Like if they beat Kansas City and play Detroit in the Super Bowl, that's the team I'm most afraid of. I'm not afraid of Kansas City. We beat them last year. I'm not afraid of Buffalo, even though they beat us a few weeks ago. We still scored 42 points. And I think, health was an issue. But Baltimore is that dude. And that's the team that I would be afraid of in the Super Bowl.
What troubles me for Detroit is historically, even in our recent good years, we do not do well against mobile quarterbacks. And that's the rest of the season for us. We got Jaden Daniels this weekend. Next week, we more than likely going to have Jalen Hurts, more than likely. Super Bowl, we're going to have Mahomes, C.J. Stroud, Lamar, or Josh Allen. So we got mobile quarterbacks the rest of the season. The only way we don't is if the Rams pull upset. Then we got Matt Stafford. But that's what I'm nervous about.
It's probably no coincidence there of how many mobile quarterbacks have made it this far.
True.
Yeah. You know what? But I've noticed something different about the Lions defense after that Buffalo loss. They've got like this zone man scheme that they're running, and it was pretty impressive. It was almost like a bend but don't break type defense. I mean, I know that Arnold is not like a mobile quarterback, but man, they threw a blanket over on Justin Jefferson. He didn't catch. Did he even catch a ball against Detroit?
He had a couple.
But yeah, their defensive scheme, with the patch players was pretty good. And then we're going to be getting folks back. And man, if the Lions make it to the Super Bowl, can you imagine how hyped the team would be? Aiden Hutchinson makes his return for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you brought that up. That's a perfect segue into my next question. So two-parter. One, David Montgomery is rumored to possibly be playing this weekend. If you're the coach, would you play him? A, and B, if Hutch is available, or if you do make it to the Super Bowl, do you allow Hutch to play in the Super Bowl?
Yeah,
I'll say
it's one and done. So like if Montgomery can play, he needs to play. If Hutch could play this week, he should play. Like we need everybody. So it's one and done. Like you don't want to be like Minnesota and make it to the playoffs.
Yeah.
I have friends who was rooting for Minnesota, so I love throwing some jabs at them. No, seriously though, like next Wednesday, and it's like, oh, Jahmyr Gibbs averaged 2 yards a carry, and Montgomery just sat on the bench in uniform but didn't play. Like we would be questioning that. Or if we couldn't get any pressure on Daniels, we couldn't get a stop late, and Hutch he's standing there and he's not playing, like we would be questioning that. It's all hands on deck. Like even if you're the favorite and expected to win, and I think Detroit's like a 9-point favorite, you're expected to win, but you got to act like you're the underdog, which I think they will. Like that's sort of Dan Campbell's thing. So
fair point, but my counterpoint to that is, and I'm not trying to speak this into existence by any means. I'm not that superstitious.
Then don't say it.
But if David Montgomery plays and he does some serious damage and have to sit out most of next year, we're going to question that. If
we got a Super Bowl, are you going to question it? It's funny because this is how crazy I am. But I was walking around in my house today and I was thinking, man, if we won the Super Bowl, I'm not even going to care if we win next year. We could go 4-13.
That's
we
true.
have a Super Bowl. Like that's my mindset. I'm not thinking about the future. Let's win one, because next year that division is going to be even harder. The conference is going to be harder. So let's get it now and not worry about the future.
Schedule's going to be tougher. Yeah.
I think I agree with Saleh from a organizational and from a player mindset of I think if you're the player, if you're a really competitive player, which I feel like they are, you want to play. If you can go, you want to go. You don't want someone telling you like, no, let's just play it safe. Let's get you ready for next year. And you have especially when there's actual like Super Bowl on the line or a chance to get to the Super Bowl. And as an organization, I mean, let's be honest, you're spending millions on these people. You want them to be playing in the biggest games that you have. So I think, I mean, you saw it with Georgia when Beck went down and then Gunner went down. Beck went out there with one arm. All he had to do was hand it off, but he went out there with one arm and he did it. A couple years ago, when Brooklyn was in the playoffs and James Harden had that leg injury and he definitely should not have been out on that court. But on Game 7, even James Harden went out there and he tried to at least play. I think in the playoffs, I mean, Mahomes, you saw it with Mahomes in the game against the Eagles, had that high ankle sprain, came out the second half. I'm sure they put a bunch of steroids in him and he still played. So I think when it comes to the playoffs, you play. You put it
I
all
really
out.
think it depends on the injury. I really think that really plays a factor for real. But Soleil, I see the church finger.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm just thinking about to last year when we lost to San Francisco and how coach was like, guys, we may not get back here, which is an honest assessment. Like teams don't always get back. We're getting close to being back. So the mindset has to be, I gotta play. And again, if he's healthy enough to play, let's say he's 70%, 75%. Like he can run straight. He could take a hit. Maybe he can't.
Can run straight.
Cut. He can't cut. He can't shoot. But he can run straight and get you 3 yards. Like he's going to want to play.
I think I need my running back to be able to cut. But
so are you saying basically if he's at 70%, we're talking Montgomery, you put him in on like short down situations like a 3rd and 2, for instance, and just let him run behind the offensive line? Is that?
Yeah. If he's healthy enough to do that, yeah. If he says, Coach, I can go, I can give you 10 runs. Let him play.
That would be interesting.
Nobody else is getting 10. I mean, outside of Gibbs, who's the backup? Reynolds? Is he getting 10 rushes a game?
Yeah, Reynolds actually didn't do too bad.
No, he didn't.
I'm not saying he's not doing bad or good or whatever. Is he getting 10 rushes a game?
No.
I know Gibbs had like 20 or something.
Yeah.
Before,
yeah. So moving off Detroit, I would talk Detroit all episode, but I want to be fair to our other people here. Key players to watch. Key player to watch throughout in this weekend. Prince, let's start with you. What's that one player you want to watch?
So I'm going to go to the Bills and Ravens game again, but I'm not going to go with either of the quarterbacks. I'm going to go with Derrick Henry. I think he's going to be the difference maker in that game. And I think that's why the Ravens are going to win that game. I think it's going to come down to we've seen it in the past in the playoffs where after the Ravens are eliminated, everyone always goes, what happened? Why'd they start passing the ball? So I think this is going to be real indicative of are they just going to do like they did last game and just have a drive where they just run the ball 12 straight times and just say, well, you can't stop us. And I think Derrick Henry, when they do the RPO, or I don't even think they do RPO, they just do a read option with Lamar and Derrick Henry. It's dang near unstoppable because it's like, who do you read? Who do you say we're not going to let you run? Because either one of them can beat you. So I think Derrick Henry is going to be the difference maker there. If they get him enough touches and he gets rolling, I don't see how you stop that. So that's my person to watch out for, if you will.
So that was my player to watch out for, but luckily I had a plan B. So thank you. Eric,
No
who's your player to watch?
Well, Saquon Barkley. And the reason why I say that is that Philadelphia has a unique team. They've got two excellent wide receivers. They got like a really good tight end. But here's the thing, though. If you really look at Philly, they're really not a balanced run pass team. They're run first. So you have to set something up to stop Saquon. And that's where the whole mobile thing too with Hurts. Philly is the team that scares me out of everybody that's in the playoffs, maybe outside of Buffalo. Philly is because when they execute their game plan, it's pretty hard to stop them. Similar offense like the Lions, very strong offensive line, intelligent quarterback, a good running back, two like really good wide receivers, a good tight end. But it all goes with Saquon Barkley. As Saquon Barkley goes, that's where Philly goes. And if they just feed him, it's going to be a rough playoffs for anybody playing Philly.
Just a quick little aside. Sorry to get off of this. Oh, I'll ask it afterwards. I'll let you finish. I'll ask it afterwards.
All right. Soleil, who's your player to watch?
It's Jalen Hurts. He looked trash last week. 130 yards passing. Philly has everything else, but if there's a position of weakness, it's got to be him. And so I don't think if it gets into a shootout and they have to abandon the run a little bit, you can't rely on him to throw the ball. Even with those two good receivers, it's going to catch up to him. So, it's Hurts. If he has 210 yards passing, which is modest, right? 210 yards passing, 40 yards rushing. Without me telling you anything else about the game, if that's his stat line, I would probably say that Philadelphia won by 10 points or more, if that's his numbers. But if it's 130 again, with probably a pick or a fumble or something, then the Rams they're going to capitalize on that.
That's Alabama Hurts right there.
So my plan A was Derrick Henry. My plan B was Saquon Barkley. My plan C was Jalen Hurts. So thank you all very much.
Well, thanks for participating.
My plan D was what I call cheese. And that is, I can't pick one player. My only other thing that I say is the thing to watch is the Lions defense. What is the Lions defense going to do against the Commanders? So I'm going to keep that brief. But one thing I want to say, Prince, before I turn it over to you to ask what you're going to ask. In that Rams-Eagles game, what I'm looking for is if the Rams get up on Philly, which is doubtful, but if they do, Philly's going to have to abort the run. They're going to have to pass. So what is Hurts going to do then? So that's going to be very interesting. If Philly can play like Philly's played all season and they can get up on the Rams, then Saquon is just going to control the game and it's going to be over. So I'm really looking forward to that game as well. All games this weekend is going to be great. It's something I'm seeing all of them. So I think I'll be in bed with my popcorn and my adult beverage. Yeah, that's Kool-Aid. Anyway, Prince, what did you have?
I'll make this quick because I know Soleil has a question, and this isn't really Super Bowl related, but how do you guys feel when you brought up Saquon? That reminded me of them not playing him in that final game against the Giants to perhaps break the record. How do you guys feel about that? First of all, do you feel like that was a good decision? And B, if they don't win the Super Bowl, does it change? Like, oh, well, maybe you might as well have just won for the record. You guys didn't even win the Super Bowl. Or is it like, hey, it is what it is? Start with you, Eric.
I think that it was probably his decision, him being a team player. Deep down inside, I'm pretty sure he probably wanted the record, but he was looking at the bigger picture. What if like some fluke injury happens? So I think that they did the right thing by not playing him. But it kind of sucks that he didn't get the opportunity to break the record.
Yeah, it was like 150 yards I think he needed, or 100 maybe. It was
less
it
than
wasn't
that,
yeah. It wasn't
101 or 102.
Yeah, it was minimal.
Yeah, Soleil, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the right move, but I don't like this was a magical season for him, but before this year, I kind of thought he was overrated. Like he's had injury issues before. He's had a couple 1,000-yard seasons. He's a good back, but like this year just projected him into another category. But like a 2,000-yard season would have catapulted him to at least consideration for Hall of Fame, which I don't think he had coming into this year. So like you have such a finite time to play that game, and you could get a record that's 40-something years old. The game is changing. Like there's not a lot of running backs who's rushing for 1,200, 1,500, 1,800 yards like they did in the 90s, you know, when some of us were born. So it's like when you have that opportunity to get that record, you should go for it. And to Prince's point, if they don't win the Super Bowl, man, what did you do? Like, what did you do? Like, you're going to really regret that. Especially, well, no, I guess they won last week. So had they lost last week, it would have stung so much more. But you know, that's my thought on it.
And I get what Chris said, put in the comments, and what you said, Eric, about it was his decision, or at least that's what he keeps saying. But I mean, of course, that's what you're gonna say. That's what you're told to say. You're not gonna ever say, "Oh yeah, the team wouldn't let me play." Nobody's gonna say that to the public. Everybody would go crazy if he said that. So of course he's gonna say, "Yeah, it was my decision. Don't worry about it." That doesn't mean that's how he felt. But James, how do you feel?
Yeah, so, you know, first off, if it was a pint, we all be drunk. So if they don't win the Super Bowl, yes, you can say, well, he might as well have went for the record. If he would have gotten the record, then other people would say, well, you got 17 games to win, you know, get it in. So there's, you know, the extra game. So there's going to be if on all sides. So screw that for me. I think it was the right decision. I do believe it was his decision. Barry Sanders in his rookie year, you know, he had a chance to be in the rushing leader as the NFL leader, and he opted not to play, you know, in the last drive, the last quarter, the last game, whatever it was. I can't remember. That was 1989, but he elected not to, you know, so players do that. Some players are not selfish, and they don't care about the individual accolades. It's something bigger. So I do believe that Saquon is one of those guys, and I mean, he had a magical season. It's all good. I'm good with the decision.
That's fair. Turn it over to you, Soleil. I know you had a question.
Yeah, so I'm sorry we're going back to the Lions, but this is an important question. So for the Lions fans, do you want to see the Rams beat the Eagles and Stafford comes back for the conference championship so we could go to the Super Bowl? Or do you want to play Philly, which has been arguably one of, like, probably ranked number 2, 3 best teams in the league the entire year? Do you want the tougher opponent, or do you want to beat Stafford, bring him back one more time, and beat him to get to the Super Bowl? James, you first.
This is going to sound so cheesy, but I swear to God, this is my answer. I don't care. I don't. We're 60 minutes away from hosting the NFC Championship game. The bottom line, we're 60 minutes away from that. We got to get those first 60 first. We can't overlook the Commanders, of course. I'm okay with either one. I truly am. Would be a tougher game against Philly, yes. But Stafford, that would be such a storybook ending, you know, to someone's season, hopefully not ours. I'm just riding so high on such a successful season. I don't care who we play. I just want us to get to the Super Bowl. So that's my answer. It doesn't matter.
Prince?
I'll say that I think the bigger story, I would love to see the bigger story of Matt Stafford versus the Lions. There would be all kinds of headlines about that, and they'd be talking about the trade. But at the same time, while I think the Philly is a better team, I think, you know, best of one game, which the playoffs are, playing a quarterback like Matt Stafford can be dangerous because, you know, they still do have a good receiver core, and he could just get hot. Like, I think when it comes to purely passing the ball or as a quarterback overall, I think he's most people say he's better than Jalen Hurts even now, and he could just go crazy on you, and all of a sudden just revert back the clock and pull out something that you weren't expecting, and all of a sudden the team that nobody had even on their radar is back in the Super Bowl. I mean, they've also won, so they have that experience. I know Philly has been to the Super Bowl, but they've won, so they also have that experience, and experience does pay off in sports. So I think I would love to see the storyline, but I think the Rams are more dangerous.
Eric.
I would agree. We've beaten Stafford twice already. So my concern is Matt Stafford is a competitor. At some point, he's gonna be like, man, fuck this. I'm just about to go all out. I'm just throwing bombs. Our secondary is a little banged up and it is questionable. And I think that Stafford probably throws maybe like the top 2 or 3 deep balls in the league. So I honestly would not want to play the Rams. I do believe that we can outscore the Rams, but can we stop the Rams? That's my question. We have to be able to stop them, once or twice in crucial situations in order to beat them. And Stafford scares me because we have beaten him and he hasn't beaten us.
Cool. James?
Just one last thing. 8 teams remain. Only 2 quarterbacks have won the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes and Matthew Stafford. That's it.
Yeah.
That's scary. That's scary. So to someone's point, someone said that he has the experience, and that's totally true. So Stafford would be a very tough matchup.
Mm-hmm.
That's a crazy fact,
Detroit.
considering how much Mahomes has. That's a crazy fact.
Mahomes has what, 4? Does Mahomes have 4 Super Bowls?
3.
3. Okay.
I believe it's 3, yes.
3 out of the last 4 years, actually. I think, right?
And he's going for a 3-peat.
All right. So my question is, who would you say would be the most surprising team to go to the Super Bowl amongst the 8 remaining teams? Soleil, we'll start with you.
Houston. So they would have to beat Kansas City, and then they would have to beat Baltimore or Buffalo. In Baltimore or Buffalo, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just cannot possibly see that happening. Stroud has had a down year. Like, he's not the same guy he was last year. And I like Stroud. And they have their own set of injuries. So it would be an incredible run if they beat those teams and made it to the Super Bowl.
What about on the NFC side?
Washington. They're playing with house money. They got the great rookie quarterback. They're not expected to be there. So yeah, and if they do make it to the Super Bowl, that means they took down the mighty Detroit Lions, best team all year. So it would be Washington.
All right. What about you, James?
On the NFC side, easy Washington. They were 8-8 2 years ago, 4-13 last year. Got a rookie quarterback this year. By far, that'd be the most impressive. That'd be my answer for either conference. But as Soleil said, obviously on the AFC, definitely Houston. The path they have to go. Everyone is saying there's 3. It's a 3-team race in the AFC: Kansas City, Baltimore, and Buffalo. That's it. It doesn't matter who the other team is. So if they run the gauntlet and get past 2 of those teams, that would be amazing. But Washington's my pick.
Princeton?
I mirror what they both said. Definitely for me, number one most unexpected will be the Commanders. Just being led by a rookie quarterback. I don't have the facts with me, but has that happened before? Has a rookie quarterback won it all ever? So I don't know.
Not one at all, but the 83 Miami Dolphins, Dan Marino's rookie year, they went to the Super Bowl.
Okay. So yeah, I think that'd be just a crazy narrative in itself, besides the fact that they'd have to go through good teams also just to get there. So I just mirror that.
All right, James. Didn't mean to cut you off. What else you got for us?
No, that's all I got. We got like 15 minutes to get the rest in. Do we want to go around and do some picks or? Soleil, do you have sexy picks this week?
No, I don't.
All right. Well, road to Super Bowl. Prince, sound like you got something.
Oh, only thing I was before we just one last quick question before we get to the picks. I just have as far as the Super Bowl goes. Let's say Kansas City does pull it off, win another one, get the three-peat. Is Mahomes in the GOAT conversation? Is he?
He already is.
Yeah, he
I
already.
was
He
about to say,
already-
is he the GOAT? Because he's in the conversation. So does this make him the GOAT? If he won't have as many Super Bowls as Brady, but the three-peat, how will he be the GOAT from that? What do you think, Philly?
I don't think he's the GOAT. I still think he's a little ways away, but it doesn't hurt having, doing something that nobody else has ever done. So, especially if he's like MVP of it and he's the reason why they won and he put up an incredible game or something like that. He's definitely he's definitely adding more to his argument that he's the GOAT.
Yeah, that's fair. Eric?
You know what? I couldn't say that he's the GOAT. I reserve stuff like that for when your career is over. But yeah, he definitely is player of the decade for sure. But yeah, to say he's the GOAT, I've seen so many folks like Bradshaw, Marino, Montana, Brady. It's hard for me to say
Unitas.
that. You know what? Why you being funny? Johnny
Bradshaw.
Unitas. Well, I did say Terry Bradshaw. He won 4 Super Bowls. But yeah, it would be
Staubach.
hard to. I did see Roger Staubach play. Oh, okay,
I know.
I did. Troy
Mhm.
Aikman. I mean, what? Can I help
Jesus.
it? Stop? Jesus. I think we all seen Jesus at least once. But no, I think Mahomes definitely would have cracked the top 5 of all time for sure.
Crack the top 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How
I
about
think
you,
he,
Dan?
like,
I think he's already in the top 5.
Yeah,
I don't think
he's
he
already-
needs this to be in the top 5.
Yeah, he's definitely in the GOAT conversation. He's not the GOAT, but he's in the conversation, no doubt.
Gotcha. Well, that's all I got. Go Pistons.
All right, let's go through picks. I have mine written down, so no one's going to steal my thunder. Eric, let's start with you. Who do you got winning each game this week and this week only? So Lions, Commanders, who you got?
I've got the Lions.
Philly, Rams, who you got?
I've got Philly.
Chiefs, Texans,
I've got the Chiefs.
and Buffalo versus Ravens.
Buffalo.
All right, Soleil, Lions, Commanders,
Lions.
Philly, Rams,
My heart wants to beat the Rams if we make it that far, but I do think Philly's the better team, so Philly.
Chiefs, Texans,
Chiefs. I'm going chalk.
Bills, Ravens,
I've already said Ravens, so I'm going to stick with that.
Princeton,
I'm going to go Chiefs over the Texans. I'll go Lions over the Commanders.
Lions,
I'll
Commanders. That is
Yeah, I'll go Lions over. Huh? Then I'll go Rams over Philly. And finally, Ravens over Bills.
So I didn't hear Chiefs.
Oh,
Chiefs,
Chiefs.
Texans.
I got Chiefs.
Okay. All right. So I have Lions, Philly, Chiefs, and Bills. So Eric and I agree on everyone. Soleil, we differ on Ravens, Bills, and Prince, we differ on the Rams. So you're the only one picking the Rams. So it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out. So we'll talk about this next Wednesday. So someone had this day in history. Who was that?
I have this day in history.
All right.
So this day in history, and the reason why some of you, if not all of you, will be taking Monday off is because of this day in history. Back in 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia, where James and Prince live, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was born on this date in 1929.
Nice.
Wow. Unfortunately, Monday I will not be off, but
Me neither.
yeah, okay.
Sounded good.
Casinos never close.
Yeah. So Prince, that's gonna be your spitballing, right?
Not exactly. Yeah. So my spitballing for this week is actually about social media engagement. And by that, I mean how it is being ruined by AI. Now, I have actually been a big proprietor of AI. I love it. I've always been backing it. I've always loved the thought of it. I think it can really propel us towards the future. I know a lot of people don't like AI, but when it comes to social media, and then when it comes to like YouTube and even Facebook and Instagram, it is ruining those platforms. I don't think a lot of people realize it, but a lot of content that's being put out is becoming more and more created by just AI. You have not only the AI voices that are in all these videos that you're watching, but a lot of times the entire script, the entire videos, everything that you're watching is AI produced. And then the biggest thing that drives me crazy is I'm a person that I like to go to the comments, just like to read what people have to say about the videos. These days, a lot of the comments are just filled with bots. It's just filled with bot replies that are saying random nonsense. It used to be this stuff was like trying to get you a virus or trying to get you to click on something to go to another website. But these days, it's just bots just for the sake of it. It just be saying random stuff in it. And it's getting to the point where you almost can't recognize what's a real comment and what's a bot comment. And I don't know, 2-3 years from now, it might all be bots. It might be half the videos you watch were made by bots, and then the entire comment section is bots, and you can't even tell it from real people. So it's kind of scary, but we're getting there quicker than people realize. And that's my spitball.
Can I share this real quick? And this isn't no critique or anything. There's a Popeyes where I live. I've gone twice since I moved in. And it's not even a cashier anymore. It's a AI person who says, "Welcome to Popeyes," and I'm like, "What can I get you today?" And I'm like, "I want a 3-piece. I want this and this." And it's AI. So next time when I go, there's like secret menus that restaurants have, and Popeye has one. I'm gonna ask for the secret menu. I'm gonna try to make the order as complicated as possible to make that thing freak out. That's what I'm doing.
Well, I was this close. This past week, I had to write my critique, my review on my assistant. And I was this close of using AI to have it done for me just so I can avoid being, too direct, which I've kind of been known to be in. But I didn't. I used my own words and it came off direct. So, oh well.
So
did you at least try it just to see what it
I did. I did.
Okay.
And it was awesome. It was spot on. I'm like, this is amazing.
Soleil, if you could remember when you go to that Popeyes, do you think you might be able to record it? You think you might be able to record your order? Not necessarily if we share it on air or not, I don't know, but I'm just interested to see what would happen, what does happen when you try to throw something crazy at AI to see how they respond.
It'll just give you a real person. So the Taco Bell near us, James, it has AI as well. So like if you give it a complicated order or it just doesn't hear you right, it'll just give you a real person. It'll just be like, 1 second, a real person is actually coming to help you. And I'm like, why couldn't we have started with that?
Yeah, that's no fun.
Hey, at least the AI usually gets the order right, unlike the people.
I mean, yeah. How long before the whole fast food place is ran by AI? Well, I mean, we already put the orders in on our phone. We're already taking the orders at the drive-thru. Once they get them to drop the fries, We don't need
Yeah.
people.
Do you think it's going to get to a point where there's, how would that look? You go into McDonald's and there's maybe like 2 or 3 humans that are there and they don't even,
They have one of
you know,
those.
Yeah,
Really?
McDonald's is already like
Yeah,
that.
they already have one
At
of
least here, you walk into a McDonald's, you have to order at a kiosk. Like there's no person in sight until they bring you your food.
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah, same. Well, I just put in our chat too. That's a whole nother episode. Definitely something we need to talk about. In the future because it's coming, like Princeton said. So,
Yeah.
Princeton, great spitballing. Soleil, great this day in history. Thanks for sharing that. But that's all we got. It's been from our mouths to your ears. Tune in next week. Subject to be determined. We'll announce it very soon. But we'll be back next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Y'all have a good one. And final 2 words. Go Lions.
goodbye.
Hi, Mom.